All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to a very unexpected broadcast. I didn't expect to be here, but it looks like we will be trying to get the coverage going here for PPRL's NASCAR Brickyard 400. I really hope these guys keep it relatively clean throughout most of the race. Most of the paint schemes have not loaded in, and the ticker is completely bloody busted right now. But it looks like your pole sitter is SRD Shredder with Link the Racer there on the outside row. So it's going to be side by side as they come to the green flag here. We'll be going momentarily here at Indianapolis. The entire field doubled up, 9.5 rows as they come down to the start-finish line. Shredder inside, Link the Racer outside, and they begin to accelerate. Green flag here at Indianapolis. Immediately, movement happening farther back in the field, but Shredder leaps to the front with no issue right away. That Camry looked to the inside there, could not make it stick. That is Boss Racer Pro in that number 67 Robin Hood machine, running just behind Shredder at the moment. And already someone has lost touch with the rest of the field. That is Savage Speeder at the very back of the grid, has already had tremendous damage right away on the very first lap. But your leader is SRD Shredder, followed by Boss Racer Pro, and then Link the Racer. Now Link looks to the inside of Boss side by side for that second position now. And it looks like Link's going to get back by Boss. Now Link has a run on SRD Shredder. Shredder very nearly hits the outside wall as they come out of the corner. Down the straightaway here. There's another car that's slow farther back. It looks like that might be Lion Mane. Link still tucked up right behind Shredder now. Shredder inside. Link holding right behind him, ran about a third of a lane higher, trying to get some clear air on that nose, and now the number 7 is right behind that number 10. Finally, the paint scheme loads in for Shredder. Shredder likely to take over the points lead once this race is over, regardless of where he finishes, because Taysbot, who is the points leader coming into this event, is not running today. Shredder has finished second in the last 2 events. The amount that he has lost the last 2 events combined is less than a second. Savage Speeder will go a lap down now. Our top 4 pulling away a bit. Now here comes the run by Link to the inside. Boss Racer Pro is going to follow. Shredder falls back to 3rd, and 4th place is Duke. And we do apologize for the ticker seeming to be completely busted right now. Not sure what the issue is that's causing that. So Link the Racer and Boss Racer Pro now starting to open a bit of a gap here. We're trying to open a bit of a gap, but Shredder closes right back in as they go through turn number 3. All right, out of the final corner. Still Link, then Boss, then Shredder and Duke. Real quickly, let's look at the fuel and tire numbers for these drivers. 12.1% already on that right front for Link. For Boss, who is right behind him, he is at 12.2, so he's doing slightly better on tire life. For Shredder, who runs behind both of them, 8.0. So Shredder is absolutely destroying the 2 drivers ahead on tires. And then I want to look at Duke here in 4th. He is at 12.8. So Shredder has a gigantic tire life advantage right now over these 2 cars ahead. And he's keeping pace by virtue of the draft, although now we're seeing that Link is starting to open a bit of a gap between himself and Boss Racer Pro. Shredder a little bit wide into the outside wall. Big hit into the outside wall farther back. I believe that may have been by Ghost Reaper. So now Duke pulls up alongside Shredder, but cannot get alongside by the time they get to turn 1. It was a 4-car breakaway at the head, but the wild card here is that Shredder is absolutely demolishing everyone else on tire life right now. Ooh, a little bit of hit on the outside wall by Link. Boss still runs right behind them. Then Shredder, then Duke. Nice, clean, and green start here. We did have an accident, but it was a single car incident for Savage Speeder. Everyone else is still running here without issue. Once again, I apologize for our ticker. It's completely borked. I have no idea why. It is saying that half the field is 2 laps down, and it is saying that Waterfire has almost an entire lap on the rest of the field. I really am hoping that it gets fixed as the event goes on. Wasn't even anticipated to broadcast this race, but circumstances worked out. So I am here, and hopefully this race stays green enough that it's over in a relatively quick period of time and I can get some sleep before the 12th stint for the Torah event tomorrow. Link still runs in the lead. Boss Racer Pro right behind. Shredder still close enough to be in their draft, but he's not really close enough to run over them. But Shredder is showing a ridiculous advantage when it comes to tire life right now. Oh, big hit on the outside wall by Link, and he's going to go all over the circuit. Bounces to the inside, comes back, but now it is Boss who goes up. Link falls back a little bit. Is there damage to that car? No damage, but he is now at 21.3% tire wear right now. So Boss Racer Pro now goes back to the lead. He has about a 2-car length advantage over Shredder. Shredder trying to keep both Duke and Link behind. Duke's going to go to the inside of Shredder. Link is going to give Duke a little bit of a shove as they're both trying to freight train Shredder. Shredder is not going to put up any significant fight whatsoever. Shredder now falls to 4th. Duke comes up to 2nd as he closes in behind Boss now. Shredder now looks to the inside of that number 7. Not going to make the move this time, but gives the 7 a shove. The 7 gives the 11 a shove. The 11 runs right behind the 67. All still nose to tail. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Mind you, 5th place there, that's Ghost Reaper in the 27, who is gradually running down on that top 4 as well. So we could see a 5-way fight at the front here, depending on if these 4 spend too much time battling with each other. Now we see Link goes to the inside of Duke, but could not maintain the momentum. Shredder, though, not willing to push the issue. He's just content to hang out in the back. He knows that he has a massive tire life advantage right now. Side by side for 2nd. Link finally gets to the inside of Duke. Now Shredder comes to the extreme inside. 3 wide for the 2nd position. This could be great news for a Boss Racer. He might be able to break the gap a little bit. Shredder falls back behind this duo. Still side by side between the 7 and the 11. And now Link gets back in front of Duke. Shredder now comes to the inside of Duke. And now Ghost Reaper is here. And I was wrong, actually, Taze is here in this race. So Taze is in this race. He was the points leader coming in. I apologize, so Taze is running today. So no, Taze might still be leading the points after today is over. Ghost now side by side with Duke as they go into turn 3. And Ghost moves up into the 4th position now. Gonna use the interval thing. Ignore the fact that says Waterfire is 1st. He is not 1st. The actual interval right now from 2nd down to about 6th is within about, well, 2nd to 6th, which is really 1st to 5th, is about 1.2 seconds right now. Gen 3 LS coming out of pit lane farther back there. Ghost Reaper now putting pressure on SRD Shredder as Shredder runs behind Boss Racer Pro. Link is scooting away from the field now. He has absolutely turned the wick up, trying to break the draft and dump the rest of the field on. He is at 31.6% tire life right now. Boss Racer Pro, who runs in 2nd, is at 32.7. 3rd place now, Ghost Reaper. He is at 33.6. SRD Shredder, who runs 4th, is at 21.2. And Duke, who is running in 5th, is at 33.5. As we are under a nice long green flag run at the moment. Boss is now closed right back up to Link with a fantastic run here in the draft. Still nose to tail for 1st through 5th right now. Well, almost perfectly nose to tail for 1st through 5th. Boss has a run on Link. Looks to the inside this time, or is he just going to try and push the 7 as they're trying to get away from Ghost Reaper? A lot of these drivers are the same drivers up near the front back at Eagle Rock last weekend. 7 still holding station over the 67 here. Due to how badly damaged the ticker is, I'm probably only going to focus on these 5 drivers plus maybe Tazebot. Just because it's going to be almost impossible to tell where most of the rest of the field is, it seems. Again, I apologize. I didn't want it to be this way. But, yeah. Here comes a look to the inside by Boss. Could not get alongside. Ghost is still right there. And now Duke is trying to make something happen on Shredder again. He wants to get back into the 4th position. Ghost falls off a bit. Off the back of Boss. So now Shredder closes back in on Ghost. So top 5 all running kind of nose to tail. Not perfectly nose to tail. The gaps kind of go back and forth between this group. But Link seems to have the advantage right now. Ghost seems to be content running in second for the in third for the moment. Boss, no, does not seem to be as content running in second. He does seem to be putting some pressure on Link whenever he can. He just keeps catching that number 7 at inopportune times around the circuit here. Waterfire is going to be pitting farther back. Side by side, here comes Ghost to the inside of Link. So Boss clears Link, and Link trapped on the outside line. Now side by side with Ghost. 27 giving the 67 a shove down the straightaway. Here comes Shredder. Shredder's going to come to the extreme inside, briefly make it 2 wide. He's going to try and make it 3 wide for a lead. And Shredder up the middle is going to go 3 wide for a lead. He goes from 4th to 1st in a straightaway. Shredder has decided that now is the go time by the looks of it. Shredder takes the lead. The 7 car of Link the Racer now comes up right behind the number 10. Link looks to the inside. There's a car spinning farther back there. That is Black, who is spinning, sliding. Is there any damage to that car? Significant damage. But it's a single car instance, so I imagine we'll stay green. Link has gotten back by Shredder, so has Boss, and so has Duke. So Shredder may have shown his hand a little too early, and look at this, it's Taysbot, your points leader. So now we're gonna have a 6-car fight at the head of this field now. When will our leaders start making their pit stops? That's gonna be the big question here. 44.4% already for Link the Racer. Boss is gonna be at, again, everyone here is running on the softer tire compound except for Shredder. Shredder could likely outlast all of them on tire life. But now the top 2, Link and Boss, are starting to gap themselves from the rest of the field here as they go down the front straightaway. Side by side, farther up the grid, Link and Boss trying to get into it. Ooh, Taze licks the outside wall there. And Boss clears Link without too much issue that time. Boss goes to the lead now, but Link has a fantastic run. Duke's trying to make something happen on Shredder this time. And he'll be followed by Ghost Reaper. Shredder is just, he's not going to let Ghost by. Ghost falls in line back behind that number 10 machine. And now, Duke has a fantastic run on the top 2. He's right behind Link. Gives Link a bit of a shove. Link in turn gives Boss a little bit of a shove as they go through turn number 4. Shredder almost into the outside wall. Side by side, here we are. Link trying to get alongside Boss, but that's not going to work. In fact, it is Duke who's going to get to the outside. Now he's got the run. Now Link to the inside. Link goes to the lead. Here comes Duke. Duke tries to follow. He can't. He washes wide in the dirty air. Ghost Reaper now clears Shredder, and so does Taysbot. Link goes back to the lead. Boss Racer now goes back to second. Duke is in third. Ghost Reaper 5th. Ghost Reaper 4th. Taze 5th. Shredder in 6th. Again, the ticker is incorrect. Waterfire is barely on the lead lap. He is not leading by 6 seconds. He is barely on the lead lap right now. Shredder is now dropped to 6th, last in this pack of cars, but Boss Racer Pro has had enough. He's jumping into the pits after he slams the outside wall. Coming out of 4, no damage, but he said he's had enough. He went exactly half of a fuel tank there. So now Link the Racer continues to lead with Duke running just behind him. How much longer is Link going to stay out here, though? And we look on board here with Shredder, who's running just behind Taze. These 2 are your rivals in the championship. Shredder was anticipating that Taze wasn't going to show up, so he thought that he'd be able to take an easy points lead, but no. Now his title rival is back in the fight and runs right ahead of Shredder. As they come down to the start-finish line, we are going to have to take a Twitch-mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Indianapolis as Link goes ahead and pits out of the lead here at Indy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Indianapolis here. Duke is pit, Ghost is pit, Taze is pit, and now SRD Shredder, who is on a harder tire compound, leads by a significant margin over the next closest driver, Dawson 14. Dawson, who won last week, is also on a 42.4% tire life right now. Shredder, whose lead, his tires are at 40.7, so Shredder still has a tire advantage over our second place driver right now. Again, Waterfire is not legitimately running first. That is a ticker issue. I'm trying to focus on only a handful of drivers near the front of the grid under this long green flag run right now. If we start having yellow flags, it's going to make things really, really difficult because some drivers will pit, some drivers won't. It's going to completely upend trying to figure out where everyone is. I'm really only trying to focus on about 6-7 drivers. Yeah, about 6-7 drivers. 6 drivers in one hand, 7 drivers in another. Weigh it. Gap between Shredder and Dawson is about 5 seconds. And a little bit behind Dawson is Quinibo, who I believe is in third right now. But of the drivers who had been leading, Link the Racer runs just behind Boss Racer Pro now. So these drivers have already made their first stop of the day, and already 12% wear there on Boss's machine for Link, who runs just behind him. 9.1%. Again, Boss pitted just a little bit earlier than Link here. As we are under a green flag run early on here at Indianapolis. About 21 laps. We have not yet seen everyone pit. Our top 3 drivers all have yet to stop. It's Shredder, Dawson, and Quinibo, but everyone else, I believe, has made at least one pit stop at this stage of the event. Link now looks to the inside of Boss. They'll be side by side for this position. And Link looks like he'll clear Boss without too much issue there. For those of you who watched the PTG NASCAR season last year, SRD Shredder was the dominant driver there, was able to outrun and outlast everyone on tires. There is a distinct possibility we may see that repeat here, and due to the different way that the yellow flag rules work, Shredder may end up catching large amounts of the field a lap down, depending on how this goes. As it is, Shredder is about to put, or is coming up on drivers to put a lap down right now. This is Waterfire, who is going to be one of those drivers who would go a lap down momentarily here. So yeah, Visible Rocket would likely go a lap down momentarily here. So on this set of tires, I believe these are the medium tires, Shredder has gone 23 laps, technically 22 because the first lap was a pace lap, but he's gone 23 laps on this set of rubber now. And he is maintaining a 4.5 second gap between himself and Dawson right now. Dawson still has yet to make his next stop. Gets alongside and past that number 31 machine. That's the 41, who I believe is a lap down just behind him. Link the Racer leads over Boss Racer Pro. Right now, they are about 3/4 of a lap behind SRD Shredder. As again, Shredder running an alternate tire strategy early on. Shredder, Dawson, Quinibo on a strategy that put them on the, I believe, is the medium tires early on here. Everyone else, I believe, started on the sauce. 51% tire life already for Quinibo. For Dawson, who runs in second, he is at 51.4%. Shredder pushing the tire advantage. He is at 49.3% right now. Royally Stone back in the pits once again now. We continue to run under a prolonged green flag run right now. Waiting to see when our first, second, and third place drivers, Shredder, Dawson, and Quinibo, all elect to pit. One other thing to consider is that Shredder will likely have to put a little bit more fuel in the tank, so he may have a slightly longer pit stop if he wants to run the same set of tires again after this. But if this works out, he could catch a significant amount of the field a lap down. Dawson and Quinibo still have yet to pit, but now Dawson is hemorrhaging time to Shredder. Now the gap has opened up to over 6 seconds. He has pushed those tires to the 54% mark now. Not quite 1/5 of the way through here. Now Link is pitting. Why is Link pitting already? Has he already burned up his tires? Oh, he's had an accident. Link, one of our fastest drivers, have had an accident right in front of Boss Racer Pro. So that's going to shut him out of a good position here. All of a sudden, Boss Racer Pro is going to be the driver who will be leading on the main strategy, and it looks like it will be Tazebot, followed by Duke and Ghost Reaper, who will be second, third, and fourth on that primary strategy. Mind you, these drivers, I think these drivers are on a medium set of tires now, if not outright hard, trying to go a little bit longer now. So Shredder has now put Waterfire a lap down as he is cutting his way through traffic. So right now, the ticker is mostly accurate, except for Waterfire should actually be 10th, 11th, a lap down. But other than that, the ticker is mostly accurate at this stage of the event now. Dawson is now 8 seconds out from SRD Shredder. Shredder is just oh, big hit! Farther back, there was that Boss Racer. No, that wasn't Boss Racer. I don't know who that was, but someone took a huge pounding on the outside wall there, coming out of turn 4. Quinibo has given up. Quinibo is done trying to make these tires last. 60% wear. Shredder is still flying, though, without too much issue. Runs just behind that number 97. Shredder's only at 57.5% and also still has a little bit of fuel left as well. So yeah, Shredder is going to use up almost the entire fuel tank in this run. Waterfire hangs out. The first car a lap down right now. Dawson now pits on lap 30. So Shredder is on track to potentially go 1/5 of the race distance on this set of fuel and tires. And if this race goes green for a really long run, Shredder could end up trapping a gigantic chunk of this field a lap down here. Now, he is going to be losing ground to Boss Racer Pro, I would imagine. As Boss is in clean air on fresher tires, shouldn't be struggling too much. Yeah, Boss is definitely closing the gap down between himself and Shredder at this stage. Not by a massive amount, but it is closing down. Once more, I look at SRD Shredder. 11% left in the tank. He's just hit the 60% wear mark, so he's now going to be much slower than these cars right behind him. Waterfire trying to get back on the lead lap, and I believe that is Visible Rocket as well. Yeah, here comes Visible Rocket in that number 0 machine. To the inside, followed by Waterfire. Shredder is going to let them both go. I wonder if Shredder's going to try and get to lap 32, because if Shredder can get to lap 32 here, then we'll be in a pretty interesting spot. Shredder looking to the outside now. Still hasn't pit yet. Can he stay out for about 2 more laps? That's going to be the question. And the other thing is that, again, first lap here was under the pace car, under pace speed. So that's going to be helping him now. He won't have that advantage later unless we get some yellow later. But I imagine Shredder wants this race to go as green as long as possible so he can try and catch as many drivers a lap down as he can. Because as it is right now, he has caught all but the top 8 a lap down, I believe. Yeah, I believe everyone except the top 8 are a lap down. Top 9, actually, because Visible Rocket is back on the lead lap as well. Waterfire should be in 8th, and Visible Rocket should be 9th, and they're both on the lead lap. So the top 9, or the top half of the field, are still on the lead lap, and now Shredder is pitting on lap 31. So this will likely give the lead back over to Boss Racer Pro. That is what I imagine will be the case. But Boss Racer Pro, how much longer is he going to stay out on this set of tires? It looks like his tires are coming to the end of their own life. He doesn't have a lot of fuel left either. And then he's got about 2 seconds between himself and this group of Tazebot, Ghost Reaper, and Duke. This little trio here should be making great time utilizing the draft right now. And we are now, as the leaders cross the line, we are now a fifth of the way through the race. Shredder still not out of pit lane, so he's going to fall well behind this entire group, I imagine. So your leader, a fifth of the way through, is Boss Racer Pro. It is Tazebot, Ghost Reaper, and Duke, who run a little bit farther back. We're going to go ahead and ride on board with Duke here in the 4th position for a few laps as we take a Twitch-mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Indianapolis. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Indianapolis. Your leader right now in the race is Tazebot 44, the points leader coming into the event. Again, he was not anticipated to run this race at first, but now he is back in the fray. And he is leading right now, but and we have to wonder how long is he going to stay out on this set of rubber. The other driver to keep an eye on, about 6 seconds back from this group, is SRD Shredder. Shredder, who is on an alternate strategy, trying to go really long on tires. He has been fantastic at saving tire life. That has got him wins here at Indianapolis before in other leagues. Now he's trying to replicate that performance here today. Just about nose to tail between Taze, Ghost Reaper, and Duke. Taze came home 1 spot behind Shredder last week at Eagle Rock, which meant that while Taze was still leading the points, Shredder has closed the gap down in that points championship just a bit. They come around the bend through Speedway Turn 2 here. Now it looks like Duke is starting to lose a bit, he's gaining a little bit of ground on Ghost Reaper. Ghost Reaper seems to be struggling just a bit. Maybe the tires, he's not comfortable with them as they've gone through a bit of a stage. It's mainly the right front tire that burns up at speed here. All right, Ghost may have gotten it back together. He's going to have a good run on Taze going down the front straightaway here, especially as Taze licks the outside wall there. Here comes Ghost to the inside, neck and neck between the two of them. The 27 goes back to the top of the field. We are on a prolonged green flag run that has already taken up almost a quarter of the race length right now. Minder, Waterfire, who is labeled as 6th right now, he is not actually 6th. He is running in about the 14th position, a lap down at the moment. But Ghost Reaper is your legitimate winner, your legitimate leader at this stage of the race. This trio, Ghost, Taze, and Duke, using a little bit of draft to just kind of stay in touch with each other. But they're not being very aggressive on circuit. They're just trying to burn laps here. These drivers were on the softer compound tire earlier. Now they are on the medium tire compound. I believe it's the medium. It might be hard, but I believe it's the medium. Trying to make this run to the end here. Taze pulls up behind that number 27 once again. The gap between Shredder and Dawson is maintained at about 5 seconds. But Dawson pitted several laps earlier than Shredder. They're on a similar strap, but Dawson pitted about 3 laps earlier than Shredder right now. So he needs to try and make something happen to close back in on Shredder. Otherwise, that gap will continue to grow and grow and grow as this event goes on here. Side by side between Taze and Ghost Reaper. And Taze clears him with no issue. Not quite nose to tail. 27 holding a little bit tighter line coming out of turn number 2. Taze a little bit wider. Gap between the two of them opens up, and Duke is honestly falling off of this duo. There is a potential that Duke will lose touch with the two ahead of him. He is at 42.4% tire wear. Ghost Reaper just ahead is at 41.2. And Tazebot, your current leader, is at 43.3. So right now, Ghost has the better tire wear out of these three. SRD Shredder about 6 seconds back and slowly closing down on this trio by virtue of having slightly fresher tires right now. There is a possibility that Shredder could finish this race on 4 stops. He would probably have to save a little bit of fuel, do a bit of lifting coast on every stint. But if he can go 32 laps on each run on the tires and fuel, he could make it a 4-stop race. I don't think anyone else is in a position to do 4 stops. I think 5 stops, if we go green flag to flag, 5 stops are absolutely in the cards. 4 stops, not so much. Still nose to tail. If anything, these three have all closed in just a little bit more now. Ghost not really pushing the issue at the moment. But now Duke has a bit of a run. Ryan on board with Duke here as he watches go. Oh, and Zodiac's dropped out. So that's another disconnect. That is a second dropout of the day today. So now we're down to 17 cars. These three continue to run nose to tail. No sign of a move being made yet between this trio, and now they're starting to gap on SRD Shredder just a bit. As long as these three are staying nose to tail, they can maintain a 6-second gap on Shredder here. Could this be the Racewing strat? Jump onto the soft tires early on, open up a gap on the rest of the field, and just run the harder compound tires all the way to the end. If we have no yellow flags, these three may be the ones fighting for the win here. Shredder's starting to lose just a bit of ground now to them. He's now dropped another 10th back. As Tazebot and Ghost Reaper are doing some tandem drafting down the straightaways now to try and pull away from the rest of the field. Duke is just close enough to get the normal draft, but he is not able to tandem draft with this duo. Almost 50% wear for Ghost. For Taze, who is leading this little pack, he is at 51%. And then Duke, who is third in this pack, he's at 50%, I believe. No, he's at 51% as well. So Ghost has a distinct advantage in tire life over this duo, it would appear. He's just trying to push Tay's bot, use a little bit of tandem drafting in the straightaways to get away from the rest of the field. That is Taylor Weiler, who I believe they are slowly barreling down on. We are now a quarter of the way through the race, and thankfully, no yellow flags. We are on track for a rapid race here at Indianapolis. Relatively calm right now. We have had 2 incidents earlier in the event. Savage Speeder had an accident lap 1, and then we also had an accident for another driver farther back who I sadly do not remember who it was. Boss Racer Pro and Link the Racer have both already made their second stops of the event. Down the front straightaway. Here we go again. Ghost still right behind, giving Taze a little bit of a shove down the straightaways here. I think these drivers, if they go mediums all the way to the end, they are on a 5-stop strategy. Shredder, 4 is possible, but he needs to figure out a way to save a little bit of fuel and tires if he wants to make a 4-stop strategy work, and he is now beginning to bleed time to our lead pack. If he can make it to lap 64, that might not matter. If he might be able to outrun the entire field by just cutting out an entire pit stop here. So yeah, Shredder's losing ground to our top 3 now. Now these 3 will pit at any moment. Dawson runs about 4.5 seconds behind SRD Shredder, but he pitted much, much earlier than Shredder. I don't see Dawson mimicking Shredder. I think Shredder is the only driver in the realm to maybe make this a 4-stop race. These drivers that we're watching right here, if we say green to the end, 5-stop is mandatory, basically. Because they ran the first little stint on the softer tire compound, going for pure pace to rush up the grid here. Link now pitting. Now, he's already a lap down. I know the game says he's 9th, but he's honestly closer to like 13th or so, a lap down. Taylor Weiler's going to pit. PRG Black will pit as well. No, it's not Link who's a lap down. It's Waterfire's a lap down. Link has legitimately been on the lead lap. He will go a lap down legitimately now. Still, this trio has not yet made their next stop. Almost 60% wear on that right front. Ghost Reaper slams the outside wall there. 56.8%, 56.9% for him. I look at Taze, who is leading this little pack. He's at 59.8. He's going to have to pit in the next lap or 2 just due to tire fall off. And Duke, who runs 3rd, is dealing with tire fall off similar to what Taze has. Maybe slightly better than Taze. But he's not really in a position to make moves. I feel like these 3 are just trying to hold on for dear life right now. Taze is wide. Oh, Taze is wide. He hits the outside wall. Here comes Ghost. Got to run to the inside now. And will Duke try and follow? No, Duke falls in line behind Taze. Ghost goes to the lead now. Oh, Taze hits the outside wall again. Still has a run, trying to get to the outside there of Ghost. Can't make it stick, not that time. Duke has the run on the 00 now. Bit of a shove. Duke gives Taze a shove, trying to get him back up to Ghost. Boss Racer Pro making what is their 3rd stop now. Shredder's starting to close back in. He's now only 5.4 seconds out of this off of this lead trio. And Taze really losing ground to Ghost now. You can see that car, he is struggling. Oh my goodness, he's struggling. 64% on that right front. He's just about lost the draft of Ghost Reaper right now. So between this trio, Ghost is by far the better performing of the 3 of them when it comes to tire life and balancing that with pace. And here they are all going to come in at the same lap. Ghost, Taze, and Duke. And Shredder, who got within 4.5 seconds of them, will now cycle back to the lead of this race. Shredder has not yet made his second pit stop today. He has about 42% left in the tank. So now the question is, can Shredder make it to lap 64? If he can go to lap 64 on this set of fuel and tires, he is on track for what would be a 4-stop strategy, pitting once every 32 laps. Oh, we have a caution. I think we're under the yellow. Yeah, I think we have a caution here. Well, with that in mind, we'll go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break as we are under the yellow flag, 51 laps into the race here at Indianapolis. We'll be back shortly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back here to Indianapolis. We are under our first yellow flag of the day after 50 laps of green flag racing. Pit road will be open this time. Only the top 6 cars, Waterfire is a lap down also. He is way farther down than where the game is showing, but only the top 6 cars, I believe, are on the lead lap right now. So now we're going to see of our leaders who's going to elect to go ahead and pit with about 108 laps left here. Dawson is going to come into the pit out of the second position. He'll be going by Quinibo. Ghost Reaper will pit. Tazebot will pit. Duke will pit. So those drivers, Ghost, Taze, and Duke, they pitted just before the yellow came out. So they will have a very short pit stop here. Everyone else, though, staying on track. So Shredder will inherit the lead. The game is saying that Waterfire is your leader. But again, massive ticker issue. Waterfire is rushing around to get back onto the lead lap. The same is true for Link the Racer here, as is for Lear Art, Boss Racer Pro, PRG Black, Taylor Weiler, Savage Speeder, and Hockey, and Visible Rocket. And Royally Stone will go from being 2 laps down to 1 lap down, and Gen 3LS79 will go from 4 laps down to 3 laps down here. But your leader and the only driver to not pit under this yellow is SRD Shredder. Now, the interesting thing is, depending on how this goes, this could work out well for Shredder. This prolonged yellow flag period means that he could still be on for a 4-stop strategy, but he needs to make sure that there's not a lot of yellows throughout the rest of this race, so that way he can maintain. The rear of his car is destroyed, apparently. He has been run over from the back, apparently. There's no engine damage, but the rear of Shredder's car has been absolutely destroyed. Something has hit him from behind. Under the yellow flag. So now, all that strategy that Shredder had been working on is derailed. And Dawson is going to end up right behind him in second. Then Ghost Reaper will be third. But Shredder may have to pit as they come to the green flag here. If they're coming to the green flag this lap. If they wait another lap, it may not be as much of an issue. So Shredder with a heavily damaged car in the rear. I'm guessing he got run over by one of the lapped cars rushing by to get back on the lead lap here. So Shredder is pitting. Dawson is apparently going to turn in to pit again as well. And we'll be joined by Visible Rocket farther back. So now it is not Waterfire, because Waterfire is actually a lap down due to this technical issue. It is now going to be Ghost Reaper who goes back to the lead of this race. And all Shredder's strategy to make this a 4-stop race. It's over after being run over by a lapped car under pace. All right, well, we should be going green on lap 55, so 105 laps to go here. So now everyone basically has pitted under this yellow flag. The only driver trying to do something different got ran over by lap traffic. All right, the entire field is caught up now. Doubling up is going to be Ghost Reaper on the inside, Tazebot on the outside. Then it will be Duke and Quinibo just behind. Coming to the green flag, Ghost Reaper, Tazebot at the head of this grid. Got some extra fuel, extra laps. Coming to the green with 105 laps to go here at Indianapolis. And we're underway, and Tazebot immediately fell in line behind Ghost Reaper there. We'll see the field rush now through turns 1 and 2 at speed. Waterfire leads Ghost Reaper. Cloud cover has gotten really, really thick at this stage of the event. 3 wide nearly. Here comes Link. Link around the outside. Here's Shredder out of nowhere. He's gone from 8th to 3rd. And now he shoots to the inside. Up to 2nd now goes Shredder. Side by side between Taze and Ghost for 3rd position. Entire massive pack of cars barreling down the front straightaway this time. Shredder coming to the inside of Link. And Shredder's gonna get him. And Ghost Reaper maintains 3rd. Taze slips back to 5th. They are 3 wide farther back now. And Taylor Weiler now drops out. So we are now down to 16 cars. Shredder runs right behind Link the Racer now. Here comes Dawson. He's pulling up now a little bit behind SRD Shredder, who's still trying to push Link. Now Shredder gets to the inside of Link. No more pushing there. Oh, and track lights just came on. Okay. So now the track is illuminated. Shredder leads. Now Link is 2nd, Dawson 3rd, Quinibo 4th, Tazebot in 5th. That is your points leader, Taze. Oh, he gets touched there. Gets knocked into the outside wall by Ghost. Still side by side. Taze will slide in position right in front of Ghost there. Dawson now clears Link. And Dawson will set his sights on Shredder now. Real quickly looking at tire life at the moment. 10.5% for Shredder. Dawson, who's running in third, 10.6%. But he's got a full fuel tank. Shredder has a very light fuel load right now. This is Link the Racer, just a little bit farther back. He's at 27, so these drivers are on much, much softer tires. I think Shredder and Dawson are going for a heavier tire load again, but I mean, I look at Shredder, he's only got 30% in the fuel tank and not a lot of tire wear, so I'm not really sure what the strategy is right now for Shredder. He's got hard tires, but not a lot of fuel to take advantage of it. And now both Dawson and Link have gone by SRD Shredder. I wonder if Shredder is going to try and get onto an alternate pit strategy. So that way he can turn a lot of laps in clean air and not be giving draft to other people. As Dawson and Link side by side now, as they go through the following corners, Dawson muscles his way by Link. Link's going to try the crossover on corner exit. Now the field's really starting to spread out just a bit. Dawson to the inside, being pushed by Shredder. That was the duo that finished 1-2 a week ago at Eagle Rock. And here comes Quinibo in that 56 Napa know-how machine. He gets to the inside of Shredder through turn 2. And now he's given a little bit of a push by Link. Now the top 4 all nose to tail. Shredder giving Dawson a shove down the straightaway again. I wonder, is Shredder betting on an early yellow? Well, even then, why would he be on such hard ties? I don't know. I do not understand Shredder's strategy right now. But he looks to the inside, pulls up alongside Dawson here. Drag race down the straightaway. And he clears him. Back to the lead for Shredder. Taze and Ghost are not keeping pace with these top 4, but I believe part of the reason is that these drivers are on harder tires, possibly the hardest tire of the entire grid right now. When they hit the line, it will be 100 laps left here at Indianapolis. Side by side, way farther back there, Savage Speeder and I believe Duke. So Shredder is your leader. Dawson runs in second. But again, Shredder, everything seems to have gone bad for him. He's got good pace, but his strategy has gone completely sideways now. Look farther back here in the middle of the field. Everything's starting to stabilize a bit, it looks like. Top 4 still maintaining a good gap between themselves and the rest of the field, gradually pulling away from everybody else. I look on board here with Link. He's burning up those tires. He'll be pitting sooner rather than later, just due to tire wear. Quinibo, who's running third right now, look at them, 28.1. They can stay out for a while. The same is true for Dawson. Shredder has fine tires, but that fuel is running very, very low right now. So I think Dawson and Quinibo are in position to take the lead and hold it for a prolonged period of time. And then you'll see Tazebot, Ghost Reaper both move up the grid after that happens. Again, Taze fighting against Shredder for this championship, but right now I feel like Taze is in a much better position, having strategy working out for him. Well, as we seem to be in a bit of a calmer period of this race, we're going to continue to watch Taze and Ghost Reaper here. Oh, have we just lost another driver? Yeah, it's Link. Oh my goodness, Link, who was one of our fastest guys out here today, and suddenly we've lost him. We'll try to reach out to Link, see if he wants to say anything, but frustration for Link, who had been one of our faster drivers here. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Indianapolis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Indianapolis. While we were under break, SRD Shredder went ahead and jumped into the pit lane about lap 65. Not really sure what's going on there, but he is now well behind our leaders. He's only about a quarter of a lap ahead of Dawson and Quinibo right now, who I feel are on the race-winning strategy at the moment. And then, to a lesser extent, Tazebot and Ghost Reaper a little farther back are looking pretty solid as well. The one thing Shredder does have in his pocket is he's able to go a little bit longer than everyone else on the tires, but he is so far behind. I just don't know how this strat's going to work out for him, if it will work out for him at all. So our top 13 drivers all still on the lead lap for the moment. Shredder is the last driver on the lead lap right now. Waterfire still on the lead lap, but he is not leading. He is running back in the 12th position, I believe, right now. So Waterfire is not legitimately leading this race. Again, ticker issues, and I do apologize for that. So we are more than 40% of the way through this race now. 40% mark was at lap 64. This duo, Dawson and Quinibo, have absolutely gapped Tazebot and Ghost Reaper, who are a little bit farther back there. And it looks like a bit of lag may have caused them to get into each other just a bit. I look at Taze, who's leading this little pack. He's at 32.8% on the tires. I look at Dawson, who is leading right now. He is at 47.8 on the tires. So I think Dawson is going to have to pit sooner than the drivers behind. A lot sooner than Taze and Ghost. So these drivers are likely going to burn their entire fuel load down here. So I think these drivers are on a hard tire compound. Dawson and Quinibo, I guess, were on a medium? Yeah, our top two, Dawson and Quinibo, will be pitting sooner rather than later. And that will cycle Taze and Ghost back into the top two positions. Also have Savage Speeder, who is running 5th right now. Last season's broadcaster. He is running a strategy similar to Taze and Ghost. But he does not have the draft, and because of that, is not really in a position to close down on them. Boss Racer Pro, who led a bunch of laps earlier along with Link, he is going to have to pit sooner rather than later due to tire fall off as well. $90 laps to go, 9-0. Still not at the halfway point. We have been racing for a bit over an hour now. As we are under another nice long green flag run. This one's gone for a little bit more than 20 laps. Now Quinibo seems to be losing ground to Dawson. The draft just is not good enough to keep that 56 up there. Quinibo is very obviously not happy with the handling of the car, and Quinibo's going to have to come into the pits this time. Licks the outside wall. So now Dawson is running solo, and this will now cycle our points leader, Tazebot, up into the 2nd position on track. And Ghost Reaper will move up into 3rd. Again, this duo, they're going to be staying out on track for a very long period of time here. It's going to be a long time before they need to pit. Dawson, though, will likely have to pit in the next 3 to 4 laps. Might not even make it that far. He's almost at 60% tire wear right now. About 88 laps to go. Staying out for another cycle is Dawson. These two do not really seem to be making moves on each other. I think they're content and just drafting with each other, try and run down the leaders. Again, I think these two may be on one of the best strategies because, yes, everyone's going to have to pit at least 2 more times, I feel, but these drivers are going to have the widest variety as to when they want to decide to make their next round of stops. Savage Speeder about 3 seconds off on a similar strat, but he is losing ground to them. However, he may have a slight advantage. He is running in cleaner air, so he should be able to have a better run through these corners. Then you have PRG Black, who's several more seconds back here, along with Learhart. These drivers are also likely going to go as far as they can on this harder tire compound. Then you have Duke, even farther back. Wait, does Duke have engine damage? Game says Duke has a lot of engine damage. That's not going to help. And Dawson is pitting now. So this will cycle the lead over to your points leader, Tazebot. Double zero holding station over the 27 still. Again, not really aggressive out here. Everyone's content to just run in a line, just trying to save tires and make up good time right now. But I do feel that this duo of Tazebot and Ghost Reaper are in the catbird seat going forward. 85 laps to go here at Indianapolis. We're closing in on the halfway point. %. They've still got 30% in the fuel tank. Look at Ghost, who's just behind. He's at 46%. One nice thing for this duo is that they are a ways away from catching traffic. 12th place Boss Racer Pro is still about a few hundred feet ahead of them, so they are not at risk of being held up by traffic anytime soon. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and ride on board with Ghost Reaper as he runs behind Tazebot for a few laps. We're going to take a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, hopefully we'll catch our top two, and most of the rest of the field make their next pit stop here at Indianapolis. We'll return momentarily here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Indianapolis here. Just a few laps away from the halfway point here of today's event. Ghost Reaper and Tazebot are your actual leaders. Savage Speeder is running third right now on a similar strap, but doesn't have the advantage of draft off of these two, but he is slowly closing the gap down between himself and those two ahead of him. Duke has already made a stop. He's gone a lap down. Savage Speeder now pits just a little bit before the race's halfway point. So this will cycle PRG Black up into third place on circuit. Shortly into the break that we took to knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break, Ghost Reaper went right by Tazebot as if Taze was basically standing still. So we're back into a prolonged calm period of the race as everyone's just trying to hope under this long green flag run, everyone can make the strategies work out for each other. Dawson is running a little bit ahead of SRD Shredder right now. Mind you, Dawson stayed out on his tires and fuel for much, much longer than Shredder did. And Shredder is trying to work with... Well, Shredder's trying to pull away from Quinebo, I think, right now. Shredder, I have no idea what kind of strategy he is on. I don't even know if he knows what strategy he's on right now. He might still be in position to make this on only 2 more stops. But the thing is, with the way that yellow flag played out, he does not have that massive advantage over everyone else. So I don't really see that's really working out for him. I think that being run over under the yellow flag and then not putting on some softer tires or putting on hard tires to go for a long distance, I think all that has really screwed him over long term here, strategy-wise. Taze still runs right behind Ghost Reaper. As Boss Racer Pro, you can see just up there, coming close to going a lap down to this duo. But again, Taze and Ghost will have to pit sooner rather than later. Already, Taze is at 61% tire wear. Ghost Reaper here, who is your leader, is at 59.9, now 60%. That car that is running right behind them is Duke, who is the first car a lap down, but Duke pitted recently. He's got fresher tires and a big fuel tank, so either he's going to catch this duo and race his way by them, or he'll catch this duo, hang out in their draft for a bit, and then end up getting back on the lead lap once the two of them pit. Again, it says Waterfire is the leader, but he is not. The ticker has malfunctioned and said that a lot of drivers are an extra lap down than they actually are, and it says that Waterfire is an entire lap ahead of where he actually is. And the two of them just let Duke go right by. Duke sails by, and our leaders will not hold him up whatsoever. So Duke will get back onto the lead lap now. Everyone from 12th on up is technically on the lead lap at the moment. Waterfire is running in, I believe, the 7th position. Last of the cars who have yet to make a pit stop. Lear Art and Visible Rocket both have come into the pit lane to make their stops. We are past the halfway point here at Indianapolis. And now Ghost Reaper and Tazebot are pitting. So now the lead is going to go over to this man here, PRG Black. And he doesn't have a lot of fuel left, so I imagine he'll be pitting at the end of this lap as well. And then the lead might legitimately go to Waterfire. But Black is going to stay out for this circuit as well. He is content to run the draft. Who is that he is in the draft of? He is running the draft of 13th place Hockey 2487. Well, it says 13th place. It might be a little higher than that. So Black trying to run a alternate strat in someone's draft. Oh, he licks the outside wall. I think he'll have the fuel to make it to the pit lane, but oh boy, that right front tire is just not looking good for him whatsoever. All right, well, Shredder has ditched. Well, Shredder is taking Quinibo, and they are running down on Dawson. And Dawson is very close to catching Waterfire. Waterfire here is the last driver to make a pit stop by the looks of it. Black is pitting this time. Is Waterfire going to stay out? Well, it won't matter because now Waterfire has just been passed by Dawson. So Dawson will now go into the lead of this race. Does Waterfire pit this lap by? No, he's going to stay out one more time. Dawson staying ahead of Waterfire, who has now gone a lap down. Then you'll have Shredder and Quinibo just behind them. Again, I do not know what strategy Shredder is on. I still feel that it's going to be Taze and Boss who are in the best position because they have the most flexibility right now when it comes to pit stops going forward. Waterfire still has yet to make his first stop after that last yellow flag. And when he does pit, it will hopefully fix a lot of... It won't be a perfect fix, but it will fix some of the telemetry issues on the ticker. And here he is coming into the pits now. So your leader is Dawson, with Shredder just a little bit behind trying to run him down. But Shredder is on more worn tires. He's got a lower fuel load, but he's got more worn tires right now trying to make something happen. I just don't see it happening right now. Oh, Quinibo into the outside wall, just a little bit behind Shredder there. So yeah, now everyone's jumping onto the harder tires, trying to go nice and long on their runs. Take a look at Dawson, who is your leader now. He's got plenty of fuel and decent amount of tires. He's going to be out here for quite some time. I look at Shredder, who is second. Very much not the case. And he's going to be out here for several more laps, so he will have to still pit significantly earlier than Dawson and Quinibo. And when he does, he will fall from second to, while still being on the lead lap, way behind everyone else. Quinibo struggling to keep up with Dawson on pace or tire life. They're on a decent strategy, but again, I still think it's going to be Ghost and Taze. And that duo has actually ended up behind Savage Speeder. Savage pitted about 2 laps earlier than Ghost Reaper and Tazebot, so he has traded in tire life for track position. So he's ended up ahead of the two of them. He is running right now 4th on merit. Waterfire is a lap down, but the game, of course, refuses to properly update stuff. Yeah, right now, Waterfire is the first drive. He is the first driver a lap down, I believe. Not a lap down. He's the last driver on the lead lap. I'll take that back. I correct that. As Ghost and Taze continue to try and barrel down on Savage Speeder here to get him for the fourth position on circuit. So Shredder is running his own wacky strategy, and then everyone else is just trying to go long on the hard tire, trying to make something happen. I have no idea what this strat is. 64, 160 minus 64, that'd be 96. Can Shredder make it to lap 96 before he makes a pit stop? And he has to stay out here for 8 more laps, and that's assuming he's going for that 32 lap run here. If he does that, if he pits at lap 96, then he could pit again on lap 128 and go to the end if we stay green. So Shredder may only have 2 more stops, but I feel like everyone else has significant track position advantage on Shredder. And I don't think he's in a position to really do anything to help counter that. Especially with Tazebot and Ghost Reaper using the draft to really hook up and go. The track position Shredder may have to make 1 fewer stop than everyone else, but the track position game is just not looking like it's going to play out in his favor here. Yeah, I see no way he pulls this off. I think it's going to be Taze and Ghost to the end, and between the two of them, Ghost Reaper is much, much faster than Taze near the end of the tire life. Speaking of which, Ghost is now going to go back by Taze here. I wonder if Shredder can catch Dawson. Will he be able to save a little bit of fuel? He's caught some traffic here in that number 31 car, but he is so much faster. He's just not willing to try and save fuel behind lap traffic. You can see he already gaps them by about 2/10 in just a single corner. I wonder if Shredder can catch Dawson. Will he be able to save fuel? And if he can save fuel, is that how he's going to be? How he's going to try and make this? At the end, again, Shredder, I calculate, would have to pit by about lap 96. I don't see that happening, that 2-stop strategy. He's going to have to pit earlier than that. I think he's going to have to pit 3 more times unless there's another yellow later in the event. We have had a yellow already, but only 1. This race has been defined by its long green flag runs today. You stay out for 5 more laps on 13.7% of the fuel tank. I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in that. We know Dawson's going to be leading for a prolonged period of time going forward, though. He does have a little bit of engine damage. Not a lot, but just a little bit. That 37% on that tire. Now look at Quinibo, who's on a similar strat to Dawson. He is at 44%, so Quinibo is struggling much, much more with the tire life right now and just cannot seem to run down those drivers ahead. Savage still ahead of Ghost Reaper and Taze, but those two who are really hooked up well have just about caught Savage here. So the question is, are they going to just run behind Savage for a little bit, or are they going to try and blitz by him as quickly as they can? Savage pitted about 2 laps earlier than this duo, trading in some tire life for track position. 19 drivers started this race. We are down to 15 right now. Waterfire is not leading. Your actual leader right now is Dawson. As we seem to be under the metaphorical lights here at Indianapolis. Ghost trying to close in on Savage. And that is Hockey who's going to pit. He's already several laps down at this point. Shredder is now hemorrhaging time to Dawson as his tires have really gone off. That's 6.3%. Can he complete this lap and 3 more? That's just not going to happen. Yeah, Shredder is going to have to make 3 more stops instead of 2. This strat, whatever strat Shredder is on, has gone absolutely tits up. There is no recovery for him. I don't even think he's going to finish top 5 at the rate he's going right now. Your leader is Dawson, pulling a decent gap on the rest of the field right now. But he'll have to pit probably in about 10 laps, if not a little bit sooner. Maybe closer to 8 laps. Might be pitting around lap 100. If he pits around lap 100 and he can go 30 laps on a set of tires, then he would just have to pit on lap 130 afterwards. So Dawson may be on a legitimate 2-stop strategy. Shredder just does not have what it takes to make it 2 stops. I think Shredder, even with being able to go 32 laps on a fuel tank, I think Shredder is locked into a 3-stop strategy right now. I look way farther down here at Savage Speeder, Ghost Reaper, Taze. This trio, they're easily on a 2-stop strategy, but the difference is they are not only on a 2-stop strategy, they can short fill on one of their later stops with no issue. Here comes Shredder, and he's pitting about 2 laps earlier than you. So yeah, there is no way for Shredder to recover. I think Shredder's going to finish on the lead lap, but I don't think he's going to be anywhere near the top 5 here once this is done. So Tazebot on track to massively open up the points lead in his favor here at Indianapolis. Also, Dawson is preparing to put Waterfire a lap down now. Waterfire holding the inside, Dawson on the outside. Well, not quite. He's not quite there yet. Dawson about to catch Waterfire. Waterfire was one of the last drivers to put on hard tires. He's trying to make a radically alternate strategy work, but he just does not really have the pace to do anything with that strat as Waterfire now officially goes a lap down. So Dawson at the 47% mark on that right front tire. After pitting, Shredder is once again the last driver who is not a lap down. So he is about 5/6 of the way to being a lap down. And he still has 2 more pit stops he has to make. He does not have the fuel mileage necessary to make this race on only 1 more stop. Dawson, assuming he can make it to lap 100, and any lap after that is just an extra bonus, Dawson is likely on track to make this on just 2 more stops. Most of the drivers behind him are also trying to make it on 2 more stops, but Dawson is the one I really feel confident will be able to make it on exactly 2 stops with almost no wiggle room. And then Savage Speeder, Ghost Reaper, and Tazebot, that trio are all in position to make it on 2 more stops, but they're going to have a lot of wiggle room. They're going to have a lot of play between each other as to when they want to decide to make their final stop. And if we have a long green flag run to the end, they could make their final stop very late, put on a small fuel load, softer compound tires, and absolutely blitz away from everyone else. But they are about 8 to 9 seconds behind your leader, Dawson, right now. Quinibo runs in 2nd position. Game says 3rd, but technically they are in 2nd, ahead of Waterfire. Well ahead of Waterfire, as Waterfire is a lap down, the first driver a lap down at the moment. Quinibo, I think, might be able to limp this car home to with 2 more stops, but the pace is just not there. They are falling off, struggling to keep the car on track as this is going on. And now Quinibo is about to be caught by this trio of Savage Speeder, Ghost Reaper, and Tazebot. Again, reminder, Ghost Reaper in this trio, he pitted earlier than those 2 behind. So now these 4 all catch each other. Is this going to be a chance? We're going to see drivers start trying to make moves. Savage goes to the inside of Quinibo. Side by side, inside line should have the easy advantage as they go down. Yeah, Quinibo's not even going to force the issue. Quinibo now falls to 3rd behind Savage. Now we see here comes Ghost Reaper. Ghost pulls up behind Quinibo. He looks to the inside, can't make it stick, goes a little bit wide. And now here comes Taze-Bot to the inside. Quinibo's going to duck into the pits as Taze and Ghost are side by side. And now Taze falls back in line behind Ghost. So Savage had to actually fight to get by. But then Ghost was held up by Quinibo. And with Quinibo pitting there, it will be a little bit tight. But I do think it is possible for Quinibo to make it to the end if they can just make that set of fuel and tire last to lap 130. And I feel the same way for Dawson. Every lap here that Dawson is turning is going to make his overall strat look better and better. If he can make it that instead of going 30 and 30, he can go 29-29, he'll be fine. But no, he's going to pit now. So this will be what I believe will be his second to last pit stop for Dawson. So now the lead will go to Savage Speeder. The game's going to say it's Waterfire, but no, Waterfire will just get back onto the lead lap. Savage Speeder, the broadcaster from last season, goes to the lead here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. With Ghost Reaper in third and Taze-Bot in fourth. But Taze is now starting to lose ground to those two ahead. 37.4, but he's doing fine on tires right now. Ghost Reaper, I look at his tires, he is at 37.3. In fact, Ghost has actually burned up more tires recently than Taze has. And then you have Savage, who pitted 2 laps earlier, he's at 45.8 right now. I think this duo of Ghost and Taze are just running in Savage's draft, just letting him pull the two of them around right now. And so for Savage, this is great. Had a good run, was on track for a top 5 result, a top 3 result, honestly, last week at Eagle Rock, but that light race yellow and getting into it with Shredder shunted him well down the grid. But now he's out here leading laps, granted on a strategy scenario, but on merit. He is running with drivers on a slightly better strategy with better tire wear. So Savage showing fantastic drive out here right now. Taze now closed back in on Ghost and Savage just a bit. So our top 3 run 1, 2, 3, nose to tail. Duke is about 40% of a lap behind this group here. And then you have PRG Black, who's even farther back here. Then Visible Rocket, Lear Art, Dawson. Dawson is now 5 seconds ahead of SRD Shredder. Again, Dawson will easily make it on one more stop. Shredder is going to have to make 2 more. So in our top 3 pit, it will take a while, but we'll see Dawson go back to the lead, I imagine. All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and get ready to do another Twitch mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll be back shortly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Indianapolis. Your leader is still Savage Speeder right now as they're about to put Waterfire a lap down all over again. As a bit of a haze is now starting to move in, making it a little bit harder to visualize what's going on. Savage Speeder will likely be pitting in the next, 2 laps, because he's almost out of fuel here. Ghost Reaper and Tazebot will both be staying out a little bit longer as they have a lot more fuel than Savage Speeder. But Savage, once he pits, he'll only have 1 more stop to make. Ghost and Tazebot will only have 2 more. But the big thing for Ghost and Taze is that they can run softer tires potentially in one of these remaining 2 stints. Dawson is about 28 seconds out from this group. He is also on track to only make it on 1 more stop between now and the end of this race. So I think it is Dawson on 1 strat, and then this trio of Savage, Ghost, and Tazebot on another strat. Man, this haze has become almost impossible to see anything through now. As we have now been green for about 53 laps, so we are now officially in our longest green flag run of this stint here. We're about to put Waterfire a lap down. Comes the 27 of Ghost Reaper to the inside. He said, all right, I've had enough of you, Savage. But Savage is going to hold on to the lead. But again, I think Savage is going to have to pit at the end of this lap. They've caught that number 31 machine once again. We'll put him another lap down as the 31 goes up into the outside wall. Holds up Taze just a little bit, but they'll all stay straight. And yeah, Savage is pitting this time by. So leader will now become Ghost Reaper once again. As Ghost and Taze run down on Waterfire to try and put him a lap down again. And for Taze, even if he doesn't win, this is... Oh, big hit into the outside wall by Ghost! He still stays on it. I don't think that damaged the car. Now down the back straightaway. I'm curious to see where Savage Speeder is going to end up in relation to this duo, because he's going to be running around by himself for about a good 5 laps or so before this duo pits. And now they catch Waterfire. Waterfire is really going to hold them up as they're going to put Waterfire a lap down. This is the 3rd time Waterfire has gone a lap down today, but each time either a yellow has come out or the driver just put him a lap down, pits shortly afterwards, and that puts Waterfire back on the lead lap. But anyways, Waterfire now a lap down. Taze is wide in turn 1. Boy, is he wide, and he licks the outside wall. This duo is about 20.7 seconds ahead of PRG Black, who also still has to make 2 more stops before this is over. But he has a massive track position disadvantage. It really looks like it's going to be Dawson on older, worn-out tires versus Ghost Reaper and Tazebot for this victory here. And between them all, I see no way that Tazebot beats Ghost Reaper unless Ghost ends up in some sort of accident. Oh my goodness, I cannot see anything. Looking at Taze's tire life right now, he is at 56.3%. 19% still in the fuel tank, so you can probably stay out here for another 4 or 5 laps without too much issue. The tire fall off is definitely a problem, but other than that, it's not too bad for him right now. Shredder's actually ended up just a little bit ahead of Savage Speeder, so Savage might run the draft off of Shredder for a bit, try and make something happen. Visible Rocket now paying out of the 5th position. Dawson now less than 25 seconds off of our leading duo, but again, these two are turning laps here with the idea of pitting as late as possible, so while they'll still have another lap afterwards, they can short fill and potentially put on a softer set of tires to the end here. You seem to be falling. We are definitely bleeding out a little bit of time as this is going on. The pace is drastically reduced over the last few laps, as this duo of Ghost Reaper and Tazebot have ended up back in the lead. Dawson now down to within 24 seconds of the leader, and here we are. Ghost Reaper, Tazebot are going to pit Waterfire, who's a lap down, will join them in the pit lane. So it will become PRG Black, who I imagine will inherit the lead unless he chooses to pit on this circuit. He's got the fuel. Doesn't have a great tire life, but he's got the fuel. He could stay out and lead a lap or two. But he's only about 2 seconds ahead of Dawson. Again, if Dawson can make it to lap 130, any extra laps would be a benefit, but if Dawson can make it to 130, he only has to make one more stop to the end. You see Dawson come by there. PRG Black is now another new leader today. Dawson only a second and a half off on what could be the winning strategy. Shredder briefly ends up ahead of the Savage Speeder, Tazebot, Ghost Reaper group. But again, Savage Speeder, despite pitting early, is well ahead of Tazebot and Ghost Reaper. And Taze has actually ended up ahead of Ghost Reaper on pit exit, it would appear, as well. And Dawson is just about to catch PRG Black for this race lead. So we'll likely see him manually overtake PRG Black for this lead here. The 96 scoots by, and Dawson now goes back to the lead. So it looks like to me it's going to be Dawson versus Taze, Ghost, and Waterfire. Not Waterfire. Taze, Ghost, and Savage Speeder. Savage has opened up a significant gap between himself and Taze and Ghost Reaper right now. Now Black pits out second spot. So briefly, Shredder will cycle back up in the second. But again, Shredder still has 2 more stops he has to make before this race is over. Everyone else around him only has 1 more stop to the end. So it was really Dawson leading by about 9.5 seconds over Savage Speeder and 12.3 over Tazebot and Ghost Reaper. That is the fight for the win right now. Shredder, I think he'll finish on the lead lap, but he's going to be down in like the 9th or 10th positions. This is going to blow a hole in his championship hopes. Shredder basically needs a yellow just to try and get back onto something closely resembling a reasonable pit strategy. Dawson has to stay out here for about 14 more laps if he wants to make it to lap 130. Pit at the end of 130 and be able to go to the end without another pit stop. I imagine the last thing he wants to see is a yellow flag right now. Honestly, everyone in the top 5 except for Shredder just does not want to see a yellow. Shredder desperately needs a yellow in order to salvage some sort of result today. 43 laps to go here at Indianapolis. We've only had 1 yellow flag back at about lap 51. Other than that, it's been clean and green all the way through. We have had some accidents, single car accidents early on in the event. This is going to get really interesting as we come down here. Taze and Ghost Reaper are closing back down on Savage Speeder, slowly yet surely. Alright, we're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break, and we'll come back momentarily here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. When we come back, it will be about 40 laps to go here. Everyone, except for Shredder, will have one more stop left between them and the checkered flag. We'll be back shortly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That is your leader, Dawson 14, going by, and this, you can visibly see, is the gap between himself and SRT Shredder, who still has 2 more stops to make. Everyone else only has 1 more. This duo of Tazebot and Ghost Reaper, I still think are in the catbird seat. They'll have to dig deep near the end, but Ghost Reaper and Taze here will have a fantastic run to try and catch Dawson near the very end. If we stay green to the end, this duo, I think, are almost guaranteed to pull off this win over Dawson. "40 laps left here at Indianapolis. For Dawson, if he can make it for another 10 laps around, he can pit on lap 130 and not have to pit again to the end of this race. Savage Speeder will be paying a little bit later and can underfuel a bit, but I think Savage may still have to be on a harder tire compound, so he might still be behind. Ghost and Taze, though, are on track to make a short fill to the end here. And you have to wonder for Dawson, if he can pull off back-to-back wins, would that vault him into serious championship contention here in his number 96 machine? He's maintained about a 10-second gap over Savage and roughly an 11-second gap to himself and the duo of Ghost Reaper and Taze. But again, that duo will be absolutely flying when we come to the end here. They're going to be out here for a lot longer. It's going to be a very short fill for them. Quinibo is in the 6th spot on the same strat as Dawson, but has just not had the ability to go as consistently on the tires or fuel. I think Quinibo may also have to make a second stop before this is over just because of tire fall off, let alone fuel issue. I think just tire fall off alone is going to force Quinibo to need to make another stop here. Being pushed by a lapped car of Waterfire. So Savage Speeder has now been caught by Ghost Reaper and Tazebot. Savage is starting to feel that tire burn off a bit. He's hit the 33% mark. He'll still probably pit about 6 to 7 laps earlier than Ghost Reaper and Tazebot. He's been trading in pace and tire saving for track position. And Strat seems to have shown some capability over the course of the event today. Also, Savage is starting to run down on SRD Shredder as well. Shredder is going to have to pit, I believe, in the next 2 laps. 3 laps, maybe. Shredder will probably have to pit in the next 3 laps. So he'll have 37 laps to go. So for Shredder, it's going to be so frustrating, but he is going to have to pit with about 2 laps left to make it to the end. So Shredder's still on we'll still have 2 more stops he'll have to make before this is over. Everyone around him 1 stop, and for Shredder, it's going to be frustrating because he'll have to make his final stop with about 2 laps to go, basically. He desperately needs a yellow to get back onto anything closely resembling a functioning strategy here. So if Shredder lets Savage go by, he might just hang out in Savage's draft for a few laps and let Savage try to tow him around, and Shredder could try and save some fuel that way. It's a risky strategy because the problem is Shredder is burning up that right front tire. Yeah, Shredder, I don't think, can hold on to Savage Speeder's draft, though, by any means. And he would have to do this for 7, 8, 9 laps in order to save an entire lap. He's going to have to pit in about 2 circuits here, so it's just not going to be enough. If Shredder can somehow make it to lap 128 before stopping, he'd be good, because Shredder has had the ability to go 32 laps between pit stops. But again, I look at Shredder, as they come down, he's got 4.1%. He's going to have to pit at the end of this lap. So he's going to be about 2 laps short on fuel, basically, to the end of this. Maybe if he does a lot of lifting coast, he can make it 3 laps short, 1 lap short instead of 2, but Shredder is basically in between a rock and a hard place right now. Ghost Reaper and Tazebot about to catch them as well. And this is looking fantastic for Taze. While it's not likely he's going to win, I think a top 4 is in the cards for him. And Shredder is likely going to fall back to 9th or 10th at the end, so Taze is going to lose his closest rival in the championship, but Dawson, going back-to-back victories, may legitimately put Dawson in position to pull this off. All right, Shredder is going to pit with 34 laps left. So for Shredder, it is all over for him. No chance of a solid result today. He has some of the best pace, but he took the wildest, dumbest strategy, I would argue, when he finally pitted. He got ran into under the yellow flag and then pitted and could have got onto a competent strategy, but chose the most bonkers, not intelligent strategy afterwards, and that is going to derail not only his chance at winning today, but any serious shot he may have had at the championship. Now Ticker is messing up and saying that Dawson has nearly 2 laps on Savage Speeder. We know that's not accurate. There we are. 9 seconds is the gap between Dawson and the trio of Savage Speeder, Ghost Reaper, and Tazebot. Again, remember, Savage has been pitting a little bit earlier than those 2 behind, trying to balance track position with tire life. Can Dawson make it to lap 130? He's got 9.5% left in the tank. There'll be 2 laps to go when he comes to the line here. That's Shredder just ahead of Dawson. But Dawson will have to pit shortly here for his final time. But then, so Shredder's going to move up a bunch. But again, Shredder will have to pit with about 2 laps to go here. 2 to 3 laps, somewhere around there. And number 45 is really holding Dawson up, and he is now hemorrhaging time to Savage. Taze and Ghost have closed the gap down to within 9.3 seconds of our leader. Looking real quickly at Quinebo here, way farther back down the grid. If he can stay out for another lap, he might be able to make it to the end on just 1 more stop. Ghost Reaper goes back by Tazebot now. Again, between this duo, Ghost Reaper has consistently been better than Taze once their tires are falling off. 36.6% now for Taze. For Ghost, he is at 37. So now Taze is actually the one burning up tires a little bit more. And these drivers, I anticipate they're going to be pitting around lap 143. So I think they're going 143? Yeah, 143. So they'll have about 17 or so laps to the end. That will likely be enough that they could throw on the medium tires and absolutely tear into any gap that Dawson will have over them. Savage Speeder now within 7 seconds of your leader, Dawson. But Savage can see that duo running him down as well. Dawson is your leader at the moment. At the end of lap 130, does he pit this time by? You know, he's going to stay out for one more circuit. So he's going to try and make it 29 laps to the end instead. Well, technically 30, but yeah. He's going to try, and when he comes out, he'll only have 29 circuits when he comes out of pit lane. That is what he's going for now. So if you pit from this point on, it is your last stop. You will not have to pit again. With Quinibo is nearly half a lap behind Dawson. That really kind of goes to show how much Quinibo struggles with this tire wear. And here comes Dawson down pit lane. So the lead will go back to Savage Speeder once again. Savage over Ghost Reaper and Tazebot by only about a second and a few tenths. Yeah, about 1.3 seconds between Savage and the duo of Ghost Reaper and Tazebot. Now Savage's tires are already in the 50% range. He can stay out here for another 2 to 3 laps. So I think Savage is going to have to put on the hards, but he'll probably be able to get away with a 90% fill instead of a 100%. But I do not think that Savage will be able to get onto softer tires, so he is likely going to end up behind Dawson. And while he'll be ahead of Ghost Reaper and Tazebot on track after the final round of pit stops are complete, Ghost Reaper and Taze will likely be on much, much softer tires and will be able to catch and blow by Savage without too much issue. Now Ghost is within a second of Savage Speeder. It's going to be Dawson versus Ghost to the end here, barring a late race yellow. As we are under a green flag run that has gone for almost 80 laps. We are on track to maybe finish this race on a green flag run that will last over 100 laps. About 105 to be exact. Top 3 all still have yet to make their final pit stop. Taze running right behind Ghost as both of them close up on Savage Speeder now. Gen 3 LS has now dropped out. He was already 6 laps down. That'll be our 5th different dropout here. Ghost now pulls up behind Savage, giving him a little bit of a shove down the straight. He's trying to force his way by. Yeah, it's going to be, to the end, it's going to be Ghost and Taze trying to draft up to run down on Dawson, I believe. Lear Arcs pits and Savage's Speeder pits this time as well now. So Savage will probably only have to put about 90% of a tank in here. So Ghost Reaper goes back to the front with Taze right behind. Now I look at the tire life, 48.1% here for Ghost Reaper. I look at Taze, who is in second. 48.2%, so they're relatively evened out now when it comes to tire life. Okay, now we look at Dawson. How far back is Dawson going to be in relation to Savage Speeder? Or how far ahead of Savage Speeder is Dawson going to be? I think that's what I should have actually asked. Savage still in pit lane. Dawson has to navigate a little bit of traffic right now. Well, he's well clear of Dawson. Dawson's going to be nowhere. I mean, Savage is going to be nowhere in relation to Dawson. Savage still trying to get back up to speed right now. Knocks a bunch of tires onto the circuit here. Now he's on track. Now he can get up to speed. And he'll be clear of SRD Shredder. But again, Shredder's not really a factor. Shredder will have to pit again with about 2 laps left here. So it is Ghost Reaper and Tazebot. They are roughly even on tire life. They are good on fuel. They will be able to short fill, put on some quicker tires, and they will try to run down the gap between themselves and Dawson to the end of this race here. PRD Black runs in 3rd position, but he's not really in a good position to do anything. I think Black might be able to nip 5th place once this is 4th or 5th place once this is all said and done and over with. I think that's the best he can hope for. Visible Rocket and Duke now go ahead and make pit stops, so they'll go a lap down as well now. So about 23 laps left here right now. His paying this duo to pit. Probably in the next 2 to 6 laps. Gonna depend on when they want to get off these tires. And then the other thing is, are they gonna pit at the same time, or are they gonna try and pit at different times to try and fight with each other for this position? I'd imagine if they pit at the same time, they can keep trying to draft to run Dawson down a little easier. But if they are convinced that there's no chance of getting Dawson, well, Taze has a championship he needs to think about, and he needs to try and overtake Ghost by any way possible, try and neutralize Dawson's closing on him in the title hunt. So we're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, assuming no yellow flags, we will stay with us to the checkers here at Indianapolis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Indianapolis. Sometimes things get really strange. While we were away, Savage Speeder had an accident, single car, so no yellow flag as far as I can tell, but he had to pit again, so that's going to take him out of the running for a top 5 result, more than likely. Tazebot also went and passed Ghost Reaper on track, and now they've both made their stop with about 21 laps left. They've probably thrown on a set of medium tires and try to run that to the end. So now, Dawson is your leader once again. PRD Black and Tazebot will be trying to run him down. Tazebot and Ghost Reaper, will be trying to run him down. They had a short fill. You have to wait until they circle around to see what the gap is between Taze and Dawson. But Taze is going to be on a nice, fresh set of much fresher, much faster set of rubber. Ghost Reaper actually... Oh, and that's a multi-car accident! Several cars involved there! And one of them is Boss Racer Pro, who's still rolling backwards on circuit. That car is destroyed. Is that going to be a yellow flag? Yes, it is. The yellow is out here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with 20 laps to go. And all of a sudden, everything goes out the window, and the one driver who really benefits from this is Shredder, because now he will not have to pit with 2 laps to go here, and everything gets upended. Dawson is going to be able to pit. Everyone will likely pit, except for maybe Taze bot. Taze might choose to stay out, because he's on relatively fresh tires. He might choose to stay out and try to go for track position. Dawson, who is your leader right now, he's on older tires. He's got to consider pitting to put new rubber on. PRG Black is the other wild card. He's third. He could probably pit. Well, he was one of the drivers involved. That is a lot of damage on his car. So it was Black who was involved along with Boss Racer Pro. So Black, who is in third, may have unintentionally been saved by this. There is a possibility that might keep him in the 3rd position once this is over. But Taze could stay out, hold on to the lead, and Ghost Reaper could probably stay out, hold on to 2nd. They'll have tires that are relatively good, shouldn't have too much fall off going to the end here. No, everyone's pitting. Everyone on the lead lap is pitting. Huh, so who's gonna get the advantage coming out of pit lane now? Waterfire is a lap down, but the game is gonna record him as being back on the lead lap. Whatever. But yeah, everyone on the lead lap is pitting now at the same time. So I imagine everyone's going to put on fresh medium tires. I don't think the softs will last 19 laps here. Well, if we go another 2 laps under the yellow, they might. Who's going to be the first one coming out? Is it Dawson? Yeah, it looks like it will be Dawson ahead of Tazebot. Then Ghost Reaper. Quinibo all of a sudden has his race come back to life. Shredder has a shot at this all over again. Visible Rocket is back into it. So is PRG Black. Black ended up falling way down the earth because he had to get a lot of repairs done. But it looks like we're going to have 8 drivers legitimately fighting for this win here. A lot of drivers who are a lap down will be behind this group. They'll have very slightly fresher tires, but I don't think it will be enough to really upend anything. So real quick, looking at our leaders, 70% in the tank for Dawson. For Taze, he has 65%. For Ghost Reaper, 85%. So a lot more fuel for Ghost. For Quinibo, who is in 5th, 70% for SRD Shredder. He's now got 70% in the tank. Visible Rocket, 80%. And PRG Black, 70%. A lot of these drivers probably would have liked to have run 60%, but they probably do not feel that with 60%, there's going to be enough yellow for them to save fuel, and any advantage they would have of running a lighter fuel tank would be mostly negated. So almost everyone here is overfilled. I think Taze is the only exception here, running around with 65%. I don't know how you got a odd number like that. Typically, Forza only lets you fill up in 10% increments, but he's at 65, so he seems to be well balanced. I think it's going to be Taze versus Dawson to the end here, but now Dawson has the lead, and he has a tire advantage, but he's going to have to deal with the fact that these drivers behind will have the draft. Everyone here is going to be on, I imagine, the exact same set of tires, relatively fresh mediums to the end here. PRG Black pitting again now under this yellow flag, so that's going to stunt him back a bit. So does Visible Rocket. They'll also pit under this yellow again. So I think we're going to see the field go green here, coming to start lap 144. So just like what happened at Eagle Rock, a yellow flag early in the event and a yellow flag late in the event basically leads to wild strategy, wildness, and then it all gets flattened out here near the very end. And we have about half the field or so on the lead lap, all going to be on top of each other. I think Taze could have a run at this, but Ghost has shown a lot of capability tonight. All right, now the field's all doubling up. Royally Stone still has yet... No, that's not Royally Stone. That is Boss Racer Pro. Still has yet to catch the rear of the grid. He is still on the lead lap, basically. It says Waterfire's leader. Ignore that. The leader is going to be Dawson on the inside, Taysbot on the outside. Then it will be Ghost Reaper and Quinivo in the row behind. Then Duke and Shredder in row 3. This could get hairy, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to go green with 17 laps to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Everyone is on the same tires. The fuel loads are a little bit all over the place, but everyone's on roughly the same tires. Who's got the best run to make this happen? 17 laps at Indianapolis. So we should be done with this in about 10 minutes or so, I would imagine. Dawson inside, Taysbot outside. As they enter the restart zone, we'll hear them accelerate before we see them. And we're off once again. Just about side by side, but no, Tays could not get going. Dawson goes to lead. It is Ghost Reaper who moves to second. Tays is going to fall back to third. He slots just in front of SRD Shredder on the inside line. So it looks like it's going to be Dawson and Ghost Reaper who are going to be the main two fighting to the end for this. Tays and Shredder are first and second in points, side by side in the third position there. Here comes Ghost. He's got a big run on Dawson. Looks to the inside. 2 by 2 for the top positions here. The 27 goes to the lead. The 00 now follows through. Shredder, trapped on the outside, has nowhere to go. So now it is Ghost Reaper who leads Taysbot. Dawson now third, Shredder fourth. Right on board with Shredder here. Fourth in this line of cars. And the top 4 all in a perfect line. Boss Racer Pro is going to pit a lap into this as something went wrong for him. Any good run he had early on has now been completely derailed. No movement in the top 4 by the looks of it. So now the question is going to be, who can manage their tires best to the end? 7.6% here for Ghost. Tays goes to the inside. Can't make a 6. 7.9% for him. This is Dawson now. Trying to make the move for second. 8.1% contact between him and Tays. Tays trapped on the outside line. And Dawson gets by Tays. But Shredder could not follow through. Ghost Reaper is going to go to the outside. Dawson to the inside. Now Ghost throws the block back down. That is Visible Rocket who's now up in the middle of this. Shredder is going to be shunted out of the top 5. Again, Shredder does not have any capability to make moves early on these restarts. It seems to take him 7, 8 laps to really come to grips with these cars. He just does not have the ability to keep his nose clean on these restarts. Here comes the move, and there's contact, and Dawson's into the wall. He hits the inside wall. He's still going straight, though. He makes contact with the driver, hits an outside wall. Is there any damage? No damage to Dawson, but he's out of it. And is now Visible Rocket, who is leading his 7th speeder, who's second, and SRD Shredder all of a sudden is third. Down the front straightaway, Rocket, Savage, Shredder are your top 3 now. Now Tays gets by Shredder. Shredder is now hemorrhaging positions. I wonder, has he damaged the engine somewhere? No, but he just does not seem to have what it takes to run with these top guys. Tays is now going to go by Savage and Visible Rocket. Taysbot, your leader, goes to the lead here. Your points leader to the lead now. Trying to firm up his grip on the championship. He didn't even think he would be in position to fight for this race going into this weekend, but he was able to make it happen. Visible Rocket now runs in second position. He's got Duke behind him. We've not talked about Duke since before the first yellow flag, and now Duke is back in contention for a top 3 result here. And Tays is opening up a big gap now on the rest of the field. He is running away. Ghost Reaper seems to have recovered to the 4th position. Duke is third, right behind Visible Rocket. Now Rocket runs a little wide. Duke has a run to the inside. Contact between the 0 and the 11. The 11 goes through, and Ghost Reaper will follow. Now this duo will try and run down on Tays. Here comes Savage Speeder again. The 11 gets pushed by the 27 once more. 11 hits that inside grass. He's going to shit him. Oh, I'm sorry. He's going to spit him wide. Now the 27 comes to the inside of the 11. And while these two are fighting, it's letting Taysbot hold on to the lead without too much issue here. We ride on the back of Taze. You can see he is pulling away from the rest of the field. This is perfect for him right now. This could not be going any better for Taze. As long as it stays green to the end, they'll be fine. Duke trying to stay ahead of Ghost. A little bit of contact farther back. Savage Speeder trapped on the outside line. He's going to now fall back out of the top 5. He's stuck side by side with Visible Rocket. Here comes SRD Shredder, trying to recover some ground, but it's just probably a little too late for him to have any sort of run on the lead. I think it's just going to be Duke, Taze, and Ghost to the end here. Black's moved up to 4th, but he nearly climbs the wall coming out of turn number 3. He's wide, really wide. Can't keep it on track. He's going to lose positions again. Now he falls back to 8th. Quinibo up to 4th now. Taysbot leads over Duke by only about 1.1 seconds now. And Duke is struggling to deal with Ghost Reaper. Duke hits the outside wall. Ghost Reaper now goes back to 2nd. But these two have to stop fighting if they want any shot at running down Taze right now. I think Taze is gone. I don't think there's any shot that Taze loses this race unless we get a late race yellow here. When they come to the start-finish line, it will be 10 laps to go. SRD Shredder briefly has gotten himself back up into the 4th position. So now that we're several laps into this run, Shredder seems to have stabilized a bit. But there's just not enough time, I feel, for Shredder to get by these guys and do anything to your race leader and your points leader. .2 seconds is the gap between 1st and 2nd now. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all on top of each other. But Taze is clear. He is 1.2 seconds ahead of the field. Now here comes a move. Duke to the inside of Ghost. He gets a little bit of a push by Shredder there. Nothing that time. Shredder is now wide in turn 4. Gonna hemorrhage a huge chunk of time. Gonna leave him exposed to Quinibo this time. Quinibo has a run on Shredder. Pulls up behind the number 10. Not gonna try and get to the inside this time. Now the gap is still 1.2 seconds between 1st and 2nd. Now Duke clears Ghost Reaper. Shredder has a run on the 27 all over again. The 10 looks to the inside. The 27 defends. Shredder now looks to the outside. Now goes looking back to the inside again. Still not able to do anything. But that's freed things up a bit for Duke. But Duke is still 1.2 seconds out of the lead. When they come to the start-finish line, it will be 8 laps to go. Gap started to close just a little bit there, but every time that Duke starts to close the gap down between himself and Taysbot, they start getting side by side, and now Shredder gets to the inside of Ghost Reaper. Ghost Reaper outside, Shredder inside for 3rd position. Drag race down the back straightaway again. Ghost has the draft though, but Shredder has the inside line. Shredder's not able to hold it alongside the 27 though. Seems like he's stuck in 4th. And those championship hopes of his are diminishing rapidly. And if you think his championship hopes are not looking good, Dawson, who was in potential to vault himself into potentially 2nd on track, now well down the order after being just about turned off track by Ghost Reaper. Now the gap is 1.6 seconds between 1st and 2nd. There is no shot that they catch Taze coming to the end here. He's at 36% on the tires. He should be fine on tire life. Shredder is the only one kind of a wild card in tires. He's only at 34%. He's better, but not massively better. Shredder side by side now with Duke as Ghost Reaper has gotten up to 2nd. Now Shredder looks to the inside of the 27, muscling his way by the 27. And he's through. Shredder up to 2nd now. But is it gonna stick? No, I don't think it is. Ghost Reaper is sideways. And there's 2-3 cars to the outside wall coming out of turn number 4. But it looks like they all keep it straight. Shredder now has a big gap between himself and the rest of the field. Dawson is going to be back into third all of a sudden. Dawson comes back into third out of nowhere. Shredder timed that move just about perfectly. They all got on top of each other. Shredder is now second. He's got 5.5 laps to try and run down a 1.1 second gap between himself and Taysbot. We saw Shredder in this position last week. We saw Shredder in this position at Daytona. He has finished second by less than 1/10 of a second the last 2 races. He wants to try and turn that around, especially because that Taysbot, who is leading this race, is the points leader. Shredder needs to try and get by Tays to win the race and close that points championship down. Gap is now 1.2 seconds between second and third at the moment. Shredder has to deal with Tays. Oh, we have a caution. We have a yellow flag with 4 laps to go all of a sudden at Indianapolis. Oh, and that is going to upend everything. 41.9% tire life there for Tays. For Shredder, who is second, he is at 40.3, so very slightly better. Dawson, just behind them both, he is at 42.3. Learart, who has ended up in fourth, he is at 44.5, so we are under the red flag. They're going to have to wait a bit to try and get the field to gather back up here. They'll also go ahead and give, I believe that is Hockey and Royally Stone, a chance to get a lap back here. But if they do what they did back at Eagle Rock, where they just go right away to the restart, we'll be going green with 4 laps to go. And Taysbot is in the catbird seat. I see no way that Shredder is going to get him. I don't think anyone could get him. Maybe Dawson. But again, Dawson, I look at Dawson's tires. He had that big slide earlier. He's at 42.3% tire wear. I look at Taysbot, your leader. He is at 42.1% tire wear. The numbers are really close. The only driver who has any kind of advantage in tires right now is Shredder, but it's only by about 1% right now. And all these drivers are going to be hitting about the 50% wear mark when we come to the finish. If not past 50%, they may be a little bit closer to 60, depending on how this looks. Looks like Shredder's going to try and restart on the outside line against Tays. Going to take a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, we should be able to go to the green flag here at Indy. So I think Waterfire is actually technically in the third position here. Fourth position. Waterfire is technically in the fourth position on this restart. So that's the highest he has been on merit for a good chunk of the time today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are under a late red flag as they're trying to get the field gathered up. I think 12 of our 14 still running cars are on the lead lap. Waterfire, I believe, is running fourth on the outside lane, but it's going to be Taysbot and Shredder, first and second, side by side, coming to the green flag with 4 to go, and those are your top 2 drivers in the points as well. Shredder, his race was derailed. He put himself on an awful strategy. Was on track to need to make a pit stop with about 2 laps left, but yellow flags have put Shredder back in contention. He was trying to run Taysbot down, but now a late race yellow. He's caught Tays, but now can he do anything with him? Oh, a little bit of contact there between Shredder and Dawson as Shredder's trying to get some heat back into his tires real quickly here. Tays inside, Shredder outside, then it will be Dawson and Waterfire, then behind them will be Ghost Reaper and Duke, then Boss Racer and Visible Rocket, then Quinibo and Lear Art, and then PRT Black and Savage Speeder. That will be our 12 drivers on the lead lap, and I believe once we go green, it will be 4 laps to go, and that will be it. We will not have another yellow flag, so it's going to be a 4-lap shootout here. We'll hear them accelerate before we see them. Oh, and Savage Speeder lags out at the last possible moment. Any shot he had of a top 10 suddenly derailed. And now you can hear them accelerating. Green flag is out here. Tays easily leads. Coming across the line. It's going to be Shredder versus Dawson here. Shredder outside, Dawson inside. The two of them make contact. Shredder goes a little bit wide. Shredder's not been any good on restarts throughout the day today. Throughout the entire season, honestly. He'll fall to third now behind Dawson. Tays opens up a big gap on Dawson now. Shredder now goes to the inside of Dawson, now falls back in line behind him. Dawson trying to defend against that number 10 machine. And both of them are trying to run down on Tays. If second and third spend too much time fighting, Tays is still going to be able to walk off into the distance with this. Contact. Ghost gets to the inside of Shredder. Lear Art's going to have to come into the pits. Looks like something's gone wrong with Lear Art. Here comes Dawson to the inside of Tays. Shredder is still there in third, but Dawson now takes the lead. 3 laps to go. Ghost Reaper is still there in fourth as well. Any of these 4 drivers could get it. It may come down to who is better on the more worn tires, because all of them are going to be dealing with some pretty worn tires. Tays to the outside of Dawson, and Tays is getting a big shove by Shredder. But now Shredder backs out and is going to let those 3 go by. So now Shredder falls to fourth. Dawson first, Tays second, Ghost third. Oh, big contact by the 96. Nearly gets turned off of Tays. Shredder goes by 2 of them now. As both Ghost and Tays are wide coming through turn 4. And now Shredder's trying to get to the outside of Dawson. Side by side for a lead as they come to the line. 2 laps to go. Is Dawson on the inside, who led at the line that time by. And now Tays and Ghost are going to have a run on Shredder. Shredder looking to a higher line there in turn 2. Dawson has a tighter line in turn 2. Now Shredder's going to try and cross him over on corner exit. Contact between the 96 and the 10 down the straightaway. That is a lapped car farther up the road there. Side by side, Shredder has the inside. Down the 27, looking at the inside. The 27's going to try and make it 3 wide. Shredder shuts the door at the last possible line. The 27 forces the door open. The 27 to the inside can't make it stick that time. And the 11 gets into it with Dawson. Duke now gets into it with Dawson. And there's Tays. They're going to be 3 wide for a 3rd position. Coming to the white flag. Shredder leads over Ghost Reaper. 1 more lap to go. Ghost Reaper has 1 lap to do anything he wants to Shredder. He's going to dive to the inside of SRD Shredder in turn 1. Easy overtake. 27 knocks the 10 into the wall. Oh, 2 cars hard into the wall farther back. One of them was Boss Racer Pro. Shredder coming back to the inside of the number 27. Side by side. Here comes Dawson. Dawson's going to go to the extreme inside. 3 wide as they go down the back straightaway. Dawson has them completely clear by the time they get into the corner. Dawson defends the inside line. Shredder still on the inside in 2nd position. He should be able to clear. Dawson might be able to go back-to-back on victories here. Tays trying to get back by Shredder to get some lead back in the points as they come to the checkered flag. Dawson leads, and Dawson is going to take home the victory. And it's going to be side-by-side between Dawson and Shredder. And no, it's not. Shredder got him on the outside line. It was SRD Shredder who got Dawson on the run down to the checkered flag. 3 different winners, and Shredder finally pulls off a victory after finishing 2nd in the last 2 events. Dawson takes home 2nd. Taysbot will be 3rd. 4th will go to Ghost Reaper. 5th will go to Visible Rocket by the looks of it. Sixth, I think, goes to Waterfire. It's a little bit hard to tell. It might be PRG Black and Said. Then it will be Duke 739 and Boss Racer Pro. I believe it will be Quinebo will be the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Either them or Lear Art. That was incredible. Sadly, due to the game's physics, that was amazing. You'll just never ever see a finish like that in real life. But it looks like SRD Shredder finally has pulled off the victory in one of these events. We're going to try and reach out to our top finishers and hear what they have to say about that run out there. All right, coming into the party right now is SRD Shredder. Excuse me. Shredder, go ahead, include your audio. It looks like you finally did it. You finally ended up on top in one of these PPRL races. But man, for a long time there, it looked like you were going to be finishing 9th or 10th on an awful strategy. What do you have to say about your run out there?
I mean, race started really well. Was on the really good strategy. Was ahead of Dawson, pulling away. And then that caution came out just as everyone was fighting essentially came in. Then the caution came out. Then I got rear-ended by a lapper, which was stupid in itself. And then main mistake for me is I should have stayed on the softs. I shouldn't have just ditched them straight away and gone straight to the strategy. And also, I think because the track started rubbering in, I started using more fuel than I thought I would. So I was going to be finishing with, like, I don't know, 3 laps of, like, no fuel. So I would have had to pit at the end. So I am really, really, really glad that last caution came out, because I would have been probably like 12th, 13th.
Well, after that second restart, you had some instance and fell all the way back as far back as the 8th position. And then somehow everyone seemed to kind of get into it ahead of you. The seas opened up and out of nowhere you were second. How in the world did you make that happen? Did you see that mess coming?
I mean, yeah, everyone was like going for it in front, and I made my mind up. I was going to be trying everything I could to win the race. Because my thumb on the controller also started like spazzing out ever so slightly, so making precise moves started like becoming really hard. So I started to fling into corners and see if it sticks, and it clearly worked.
Yeah, and then that final restart with 4 laps to go. How in the world did you set that up to nip Dawson coming to the line?
I mean, on the corner exits, when we was all on soft tires, I could do like really good sort of like mid-corner speed, and essentially I knew Dawson was probably going to defend the inside because I tried passing it about good 3 times in the last 2 laps. So I went to like fake on the inside and drifted to the outside before we could block it. And if he had tried to like turn to the right when I was right there, he would have walled himself, and we both would have finished like way out the points.
Somehow you made the outside line work. The margin of victory was so tight that the post-race thing is not showing. It just says you both finished in 2.5 hours. So, yeah, that was insane. Okay, so second, first. You still technically not taking the lead yet because, again, Taysbot had those points that he got from the All-Star race. But do you think the championship is still in play for you, or do you think you might fall off in the next few events?
I mean, it all depends, because you can have a strategy, but as has been found out to me at Eagle Rock and to Dawson here today, you can be on the best strategy no matter what, and it can just be wiped away instantly. So it's Brands Hatch. That's going to be an interesting. That's going to be who can just send it round there the hardest.
Well, we'll be interested to see how that works out then. Shredder, thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Go have yourself a good night's sleep.
5:46 in the morning.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to reach out to some of our other top finishers here. Hopefully, we're going to be able to talk with at least 1 or 2 other of our top finishers here before this is over. Although I wouldn't complain if I get to end the stream a bit early, but I don't think that's going to happen. All right, if we don't hear anything from them shortly here, I will end the broadcast. I'm going to knock out Twitch mandated ad break. If they don't join by the end of that, I'm probably just going to end this. All right, coming into the party now is TazeBot. Taze, are you able to hear me?
I can, and my audio is included.
All right, Taze, interesting time. I feel that for the majority of this race, you had the race-winning strategy, and all the way up until that final restart, it looked like you were cruising to an easy win. Still got a podium, but that's got to be so frustrating when you were so close to an easy walk-off win. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, you don't understand. We had that. I pulled that strat out of my dude. It was like 2 hours before the race. I called the strat. Me, Ghost, and Duke we're all running it. It was running perfectly fine. We would have had the win easily. And then that caution comes out like normal, 20 laps in. So that fresh tire, everybody gets a chance at winning. So that whole 140 laps doesn't matter whatsoever. And then we get to the restart. I get away 2 seconds. You know, another caution comes out. Nothing went my way that race. Even though I got top 3, I'm still pretty frustrated.
Yeah, you're going to lose some significant ground in the points to your title rivals, Shredder and Dawson, it would appear, but I think you should still, won't be by much, but I do think you'll still be
I
leading.
believe I'm 1 point behind Dawson, P2 right now.
Okay, so, yeah, all right, so maybe you lost the lead to Dawson. I'll have to check the points once they're updated, but yeah, still, fantastic run out there, basically salvaging a awful start. You qualified upper midfield, ran around near the front, but the race kept throwing stuff at you, and you still recovered. I'm honestly shocked you did that throughout the entire run. I do want to ask, if it was between you and Ghost Reaper to the end, do you think you could have beat Ghost Reaper to the checkers?
It would have been a close battle. It honestly would have depended if I could block him or not, if he was in front of me and he blocks me or not. We both like to block pretty hard, so if anything, we probably would have took both of us out at the very end and just wrecked across the line. Whoever got it, got it. I'm not mad at whoever gets it. I mean, he's trying to go for the championship. He got chipped last season, so whatever he has to do to get the win, he got to get the win. You know what I mean?
Yep, I understand completely. Okay, so what are your hopes for the championship going forward? You're still right in the middle of the title fight. Do you still think the championship is in cards for you?
Oh yeah, 100%. We got a road course coming up next, so that's an easy top 3, most likely. I don't have no issues with that. The only thing I may have a problem with is in the rain, which is the last race of the season. So we're gonna see how that plays out. But I got a feeling it's gonna be a good 1, 2, 3 championship series going on for these next 6 races.
All right. Well, in that case, Taze, it was a fantastic run out there. You've not finished outside the podium positions yet, if I remember correctly, in this season. So It's still been a really strong run. I really look forward to seeing what you can do in next week's time. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us.
Yep, thank you. Talk to you later.
All right, and that is the word from our third place finisher, TazeBot. I have not heard anything from Dawson yet. If he wants to actually jump in and do interview, I'm going to assume not. I also need to sleep because I do have another stint I have to broadcast for Taurus 24 Hours Daytona early on in the morning. So until next time, everyone, I have been your host, your day's broadcast, Insanely 13. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Farewell and goodbye.